All right, welcome to the first coding session on Covnets. And as mentioned, we will actually build a classifier that classifies pictures into two classes, cats and dogs. So here I've developed the directory structure that I just outlined. So basically, we have the directory train that contains 25,000 pictures of cats and dogs. And we will split that directory in a training set of cats here and a training set of dogs. So these two will actually contain about 12,500 pictures. Once we have split the training data in cats and dogs, we're gonna create our training set, and this we will call training 2000. And training 2000, if we click on it, has two directories. So one directory that contains the pictures of 1,000 cats and the other one containing the picture of 1,000 dogs. Then we will also create a val 1000 directory, and that directory will contain 500 cats and 500 dogs as well. And for completeness, we will create a test directory as well, and we'll put 500 cats and 500 dogs in that directory. We will maybe not be using that test directory, but just in case we need it, we decided to put it on. All right, so now we're ready to start our code and to move the files into these respective directories. All right, the first thing we always do is import the necessary libraries. These two ones we know we've done in the past. We will still need them here, although we don't need NumPy immediately. Yeah, but here are two new libraries that we're gonna import: the OS and Shuttle library. These libraries allow us to move files in Python. Yeah, create directories, delete directories, move files between directories, and so on. And then, as usual, we will mount Google Drive. And this has been done already here. So let's see, I see the drive and the directory structure here on the left. When I look at Colab Notebooks directory, I can see the necessary directories: training cats, training dogs, each with 12,500, training set of 2,000 pictures, a validation set of 1,000 pictures, and a test set of 8,000 pictures. Let me just unpack these directories, and here we can see the subdirectories. Now that is exactly the structure that we want. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna loop through this train directory and move all the cat pictures to training cats and all the dog pictures to training dogs. Just keep in mind that train and training cats, training dogs are at the same level. So let us write the code to make this happen. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna list all the files in that directory. Yeah, so source will be a list of all the files in the train directory. This will be 25,000 files in total. And the destination directories are training cats and training dogs. Each will have roughly 12,500 files in them. Okay, so let me change directory so that we can work here in this train directory. So now we're gonna start moving the files. So here we're gonna loop through all the files in source, yeah? And remember, there's about 25,000. And if the file starts with dog, we're gonna move this file to destination 1, training dogs. Else, we're gonna move it to training cats because there's only pictures of cats and dogs. Okay, so we move these files, and now let's check if we move the files to the right directory. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna look at this training cats directory, and I'm gonna copy the path here. Yeah, so paste. Let's take this 0 out here on the right. So this is the list that we're gonna look at in the directory training cats. And now we're gonna take a look at the length of that list and then print it. So we should see 12,500 roughly. So that confirms that now I split all the files in the directory train to training cats and training dogs. And just to be sure, let me look at the dogs as well, and we should see roughly the same number. Here we go. So that means that we're on the right track. Okay, so now we're ready to create a training set of 1,000. So that is a command. So let me delete this one and add a text here. So now we're gonna create a directory of 2,000 files and split in 1,000 dogs and 1,000 cats. So that's how we create our small data set. Yeah. So we're gonna take these 1,000 cats and 1,000 dogs from the directories training cats and training dogs. Remember, each has about 12,500 files. The way we do it is relatively simple, and we're just gonna execute a move operation. So we name the training dogs source number 2 and training cats source number 3. And again, we're gonna list all the files in these two directories. But here, importantly, we only take the first 1,000 files of each of these directories. And we're gonna create a directory training dogs 1,000 and training cats 1,000. Yeah. So these two directories both will contain 1,000 pictures of dogs and 1,000 pictures of cats. So let's run this. All right, so let's move first to the directory training dogs, where we have our 12,500 dog files. And let's now execute the move operation. So I'm gonna take the first 1,000 files of source number 2, and I'm gonna copy them in destination 3, which is actually my training set for dogs with 1,000 files. So let's run this, so make sure I'm in the right directory, and let's run this as well. All right, so let's now move to the, or change directory to the training cats directory, and let's move 1,000 of these files to the training cats 1,000 directory. So let's run this code. So now we're gonna do exactly the same, yeah? But instead of the first 1,000 files, we're gonna take the next 500 files, yeah? So let us paste the code. So here now we take files number 1,000 to 1,500, yeah? That means excluding 1,500, and goes to 1,499. And we're gonna move these to the directory valdogs 500, valcats 500. So it's exactly the same as we did before. Okay, so let's move to the training dogs directory, and let's take all the files here from 1,000 to 1,500 and move them to destination 5, which is the validation directory for the dogs. So let's run this. So let's now move to the training cats directory and execute the shuttle copy command here, where we will move file from source 5, meaning the next 500 cats files, to the validation cats 500 directory, which is destination 6. So let's run this. Okay, so before we start to set aside 500 plus 500 files for testing, let us make sure that the directory contains the files that we need. So let's copy this block of code and do some tests here. Yeah. So we check what the number of files is in this valcats 500. So let's copy that path and put it here. Here we go. So here we should get 500, which we have. When I change this to docs, should also see 500. Okay, so that means we're on the right track. So now let's set aside the test directories. And basically this is exactly the same as we did before. But now we have source 6 and 7, and we take the next 500 files, right, from 1500 to 2000. So let us run this. Let's go back to the training docs directory and then execute the shuttle copy command. So from source 6 is the next 500 files here, and I move them to test docs 500. So let's execute. Okay, so now let's move to the training cats directory and do the so let's now do the same with cats. So let me move to that directory, and then here we go. So we're gonna copy the next 500 files, source 7 to destination 8, test cats 500. So let's execute. And all right, let's now see if it worked. So let's copy this block of code again to see if we have our 500 files into this test directory. So where is the test directory? It's here. So let's copy cats 500 test, and let us put this one here. Paste, and let's run this. We should see 500. Here we are. When I change the docs, should say 500 as well. All right, we're done with the pre-processing. And the great thing about it is that we won't have to go through all this stuff when we actually do different types of exercises. So we'll be working with the training 2000 and val 1000 directories primarily.